And hello, welcome to Mike Nice, Talking the Talk. I am your host, Mike Nice, the nicest kid around. Today we have a live show. This is October 12th, 2017. Black is beautiful. Ain't that the truth? My guest tonight could definitely attest to that. He is an educator, child therapist. He is an author, and he will be returning back to Connecticut in Hamden, October 19th, which we'll talk a little bit about before we start interviewing him. Today I have the one and only Dr. Umar Johnson. Thank you so much, Doctor, for taking your time and really traveling. I hope you have safe travels coming here. I hope you have safe travels going back. But thank you so much for being part of my program. As you see, you have a few supporters and who have people who've been following you around. I know a lot of people in New Haven know of you, know of your work. So which is great. So I want to thank you again for coming on. Like I said in the introduction, you are going to come back here next week, October 19th, 2017, for my viewers. And you're going to be speaking a little bit about education and tell my little bit of viewers what they can expect. Don't give them the whole show, but what can they expect? And if they want more information, your info will be on the screen. But what can they expect for next week?
Certainly. The last time that I was in Connecticut was Bridgeport. That was in January of 2016.
Okay.
So it's been almost 2 years since my last visit to the state of Connecticut.
Right.
And I consider it my obligation as a Pan-Africanist, as one of the only outspoken school psychologists in America, to make sure I make my rounds around the African American community and educate as many parents and community members as I possibly can. And so I always look at the map, the entire country, and I say, where haven't I been, or where haven't I been in a while? And since Connecticut isn't a place that gets me a lot, I consider it my opportunity to come on back. And so next Thursday, October 19th, 6 p.m., doors open up at 4, we'll be at the Balcony Banquet Facility. Balcony Banquet Facility, Thursday, October 19th. And the address is 1351, 1351 Dixwell Avenue, Dixwell. And we want everyone to come out. We're going to deal with the school to prison pipeline, the special education wars against black children, the ADHD hustle over black children. We're going to talk about the disproportionate suspension rates, achievement rates, of the disproportionate rate at which black boys are often classified as mentally retarded or intellectually disabled. ADD. When you look at academic statistics, black children trail almost every other ethnic group. And there's reasons for that have nothing to do with the black child's innate cognitive ability. Our children are just as intelligent as anyone else's, and according to some of the research out there, they're more intelligent than other children. But the problem is the racism in the schools. The problem is the curriculum. The problem is the teachers. The problem is that our children are subject to what I would consider one of the greatest crimes against humanity, and that is the deliberate deprivation of a practical education so that they can make a success of themselves.
What's one of the concrete things schools are lacking nowadays teaching today's youth?
Well, for black children, the number one thing, they're not taught who they are. Okay. Number two, they're not.
When you mean who they are, their identity as a young black man, or
what they have done as a race, who they are in terms of identity, the cultural principles upon which their people have operated for millennia. Okay. And most importantly, what it is we need to be doing as a people to fix our predicament. No school teaches our children that. We do have some independent schools that teach it, but public school and charter school, you're not going to get that, because public and charter school was designed to guarantee that the black child fails, especially the male, because the most revolutionary thing you can do in an American public school system is properly educate the black boy, because by doing that, you upset the social order. If you properly educate me to dominate Wall Street, if you properly educate me to dominate the halls of U.S. Congress, if you properly educate me to dominate the Capitol, the banks, then you put me in a position to rival the white boy for control of New Haven. Right. That would upset the American social order, i.e. white privilege, white supremacy. So the black boy must fail. It is not a coincidence that black boys are overrepresented amongst the learning disabled, overrepresented amongst the ADHD, overrepresented amongst the conduct disorder, overrepresented amongst the emotionally disturbed. It's no coincidence that only 1 out of every 4 black boys graduates from high school. We have a 25% 25% black male graduation rate right now. That's a crisis. But you haven't heard it discussed by President Bush. You didn't hear it discussed by President Obama. You didn't even hear it discussed by many of our black politicians. So black people have certain crisis situations going on that nobody's even taking seriously because black failure has been normalized as an everyday experience.
I would have to agree with you to some degree. And I know over the past few years, though, we have had the highest rate as of now as African Americans graduating from college, which is a good sign.
Of those who enter.
Right. Which still is a good sign.
It's not a good sign.
I think it's a good sign.
It's not a good sign. And the reason it's not a good sign is a college degree doesn't automatically provide you with any degree of capital.
Correct.
Okay, that you can use to turn over into a business to guarantee that you can put bread and butter on your child's table.
Right.
We have to be very clear that when we're looking for solutions, a solution is something that eliminates a problem. If it doesn't eliminate a problem, it is not a solution, it is a Band-Aid. Me having a college degree is a Band-Aid. It's not a solution unless that degree guarantees me an opportunity to participate in the American dream. Again, as I said earlier, 2 million African Americans. I just got a resume from a doctor. I get resumes from attorneys all the time. Dr. Johnson, we know you know a lot of people. You travel the country. If you know any leads, help me out. Why is a licensed attorney, given the small fraction that we represent in that profession, how can a black licensed attorney be unemployed? Because of systematic racism. If we don't make an opportunity for ourselves, there will be none for us. I think the writing is crystal clear now. That writing was on the wall during Obama's administration, and that writing has been even intensified on the walls under the Trump administration. America don't care about black folks, never did, but we thought they did. But now it's clear that they don't. Okay, anytime that a flag will get more attention, okay, than the killing of unarmed, defenseless black men, women, and children. Absolutely insane that a rag has more value than a life. So it's clear now that this country isn't going to do anything to help black folks, which means we have to help ourselves. And that's the way it should be. Because as my ancestor Frederick Douglass said, if a man isn't willing to stand, it'd be best if you not help him up. Because if you help up a man who's not willing to stand, the minute you let him go, he falls back down. So leave him down until he's ready to stand up on his 2 feet. And our ancestors are screaming at us right now. It's time for us to stand up on our own 2 feet.
But if a young African American did come to you and say, listen, I know you said if you get a college degree, it's not necessary fast with getting a paycheck or whatever. And they say, should I still go to college? What will your answer be then?
I would say I have 3 questions for you, young man. I have 3 questions for you, young lady. I have 3 questions for your parents. Question number 1, do you have the discipline to finish if you do go? College is a 4-year commitment. Do you have the discipline to get up and go to class? Put the work in with the labs, study for the test, write the papers. Or are you going to get up when it's snowing, when it's raining? Because there's no mommy and daddy to wake you up for college. Okay? So number 1, you got to have the discipline to finish. Because there's no need to spend $100,000 on an education that you're not even going to get because you're not going to commit yourself to completing the program. Number 2, are you majoring in a field that is financially relevant to your life that will enable you to pay back that loan? Okay? Because colleges offer hundreds of degrees, but only dozens of them are relevant. A college is a business. They're about making money. And if they can put up a fancy degree and get people to buy into that degree, they will educate you under that degree. It's your responsibility to know that I do not need a degree in European medieval history. If I want to study European medieval history, I can do that at the public library with a card. I don't need to spend $100,000 to do that. So we have to help our young people pick degrees that are financially relevant so they're not being exploited in the name of higher education. And then the third question I would have is, how are you going to use the education you get at that university to benefit your people? Because so many of us go off to college and use that education to benefit the power structure and not black people.